Morning, and of course for Mondays, we have Monday Motivation, and joining us again we have Mr. Fola Daniel Adelesi. Now he is the CEO at Edible Pen Training and Development Limited. He is an international keynote speaker, training facilitator, and communications professional. And he'll be speaking to us today about consistency and how consistency beats size and fanfare. Very interesting pick, sir. Welcome back to Wake Up Nigeria.
It's good to be back here.
All right. It's good to have you back here. So now we're talking about consistency.
Yeah.
Even in the content creation space, right, which I'm very familiar with, they talk a lot about consistency. Start small, just keep on going, right? So now, what angle are we coming to it with today? Consistency beats size and fanfare. Yeah.
There's something they call initial gra-gra in Nigeria. So when you hear the term initial gra-gra, you see people start something and they have all the buzz, all the energy, all the fanfare around it. They want to do it big. And at the end of the day, give it just 2 months for some people. You're not seeing anything again. Give it 3 months. For some people, they even try 6 months and you're not seeing anything again. So the point is, consistency will always beat size and fanfare anytime, any day. It's not about how big you started. It's not about the fanfare around what you're doing. It's about the consistency. And there are quite a number of things that come to my mind. First of all, there's this proverb in Yoruba. I'll say it and I'll interpret it. The Yorubas consistently say, Ogbara ojo lohun onilewo, onile ni onigba fun. What that simply means is that the flood will try as much as possible to pull down your house. But you are the one who will put in the measures to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, why is that a thing with consistency? Anywhere water approaches, that thing will give way. So there are 3 things that teach us consistency in nature. First is water, the other is light, and then the third one is air. Wherever you see water, if a drop of water consistently falls on a rock, it will make a hole in the rock. If just a drop of water. And if water keeps going through a particular place and there's no road, eventually the water will make its own way. But you see, it's not about the force of the water, it's the consistency of the water. Now, when it comes back to light, you realize that as far as light is concerned, no matter, most times we take the sunlight, the natural light for granted, but that's all the grass needs to grow on a daily basis. You put the plant out there, so long as it sees light, it will keep growing slowly, surely, steadily. And after a few months, you say, oh, wow, I didn't even notice this thing was there. But what exactly gave it the growth is the consistency of light that gave it the growth. Then the third one is air. You drove down here today, most likely. And if you did, do you know that it was air that brought you air? Now, what has that got to do with anything? What do you have in your tires?
Air.
So the consistency of the air staying there is what moves you around. In this place now, if there was no air, in just a few minutes, all of us would notice it. So you realize that the consistency of the availability of air keeps us living, keeps us alive. The consistency of light keeps the plants growing, keeps a lot of things moving. And the consistency of water shows that even if there was no way, there would eventually be a way. So those 3 things in nature teach us consistency. Then, as far as animals are concerned, there are 3 things, or 3 animals that also teach us consistency.
So, the ants.
The first is the ant.
I got it.
In fact, even the Bible tells us, consider the ant, thou sluggard. You see, an ant can carry something that is like 3 times its own weight. But it's because of the consistency. They do it over and over again. Then the next one, it's called the salmon, the Atlantic salmon. It's a type of fish. It travels from the ocean several kilometers, several miles to go and look for fresh water, just to, keep itself fresh, keep itself awake. And the third one is the bees. If you study the bees, they are so meticulous. Guess what? They have what you call division of labor. Somebody's duty is to protect the queen. Another person's duty is to bring in the food, produce nectar and everything. So you realize that animals teach us consistency. Plants teach us consistency. Nature teaches us consistency. So it's not always about the size, but human beings want it overnight. We want something now, and we think we must do everything to get. So it's not about the size. Do it consistently, because eventually you get your results.
Yes, of course. That makes a whole lot of sense. I think a lot of people have actually come to realize that, right? But then again, I think the struggle most times is how to stay consistent. So do you have any tips and tricks?
So what I do, because I do a lot of content as well. One of the things that I realize is that there are things you have to do ahead before you need them. For example, with my writing, with my videos, one of the things I do is when I'm on fire like that, I can do like 30, 40, 50 videos. I'm talking about in a single day. Then I plan ahead. I create my calendar for the next 6, 7 months, and then I schedule them. So every Monday, without fail, at 6 a.m., a new YouTube video drops on my channel.
All right.
Every Monday, without fail, at 10 a.m., a new article drops for my LinkedIn newsletter and my blog on those platforms. So it's about planning. And when you plan, you envisage your results. I think I suggest you also use what I call a vision board.
Okay.
You know, well, most people are familiar with the word notice board. You know, just think like a notice board where you stick so many things.
Yes.
But what you're telling yourself is, this is where I'm going to be in the next 5 months, in the next 6 months. If I do this on a daily basis, this is where I'm going to be. You realize that even with your health goals, consistency is what gets you the results.
What gets you there.
So you need to have a clear, visible plan. Without a plan, you can't talk about consistency. You're just doing something to while away time. But when you have a plan, with the anticipation of where you're going to arrive. For example, if you keep driving for several kilometers, you definitely have a destination in mind. So you don't hit something, you don't start doing it without a plan in mind. So you must have a plan, wake up, work at it on a daily basis. It's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy.
So I won't pretend that it comes easy. Sometimes I don't feel like writing, but I know I have to.
And especially now in life, I mean, there are so many distractions. That people,
the bills, the businesses you want to run.
And even ideas, right? Okay, so you might start and have a goal in mind, and then eventually you're like, oh, okay, I think this idea seems attractive, but you want to actually deviate. So in that case, do you have situations like that?
There are 2 ways around it. Number one, if you know that you have the chance, there are some people who are starters and they are not finishers. If you have identified yourself as a starter, what you can do is to start something, create a system around it, hand it over to somebody else who can finish it. And I know quite a number of popular starters in Nigeria. They start a business and move on to something else, allow somebody else run it. But if you're also not a starter, but you are a manager, then let somebody else start and then you manage it.
Okay.
So just identify, first of all, who are you? Are you a starter? Are you a finisher? Are you a manager? So whichever one you are will then determine your role. So we need to identify which role we're supposed to be playing. And there are some people who can start, manage, and finish.
Well, all by themselves.
There are people who can do all 3 of them. So it's important to identify that. And
because when I was speaking about distractions now and multiple ideas, because now once upon a time they literally say, okay, fine, jack of all trades, master of none. But now people are literally even coming into that whole space of, see, I can be this, and this all at the same time.
So that proverb is, most times we don't finish it. Jack of all trade, master of none, but it's better to be good at almost everything. So you realize that when you check the complete proverb, it says, you know, master something in every sphere of life. So however, it can be a distraction. So what you do is stay with people who have the same zeal, the same fire, the same consistency, maybe the similar goals. So they can keep you in check. They can help you and tell you, no. This thing you're about to do is a distraction for you. This is where you're going. So you don't look at something new. You don't look at a trend and start following the trend. You know, today it's content creation. Maybe tomorrow you hear it's maybe crypto, and then you go into crypto. Then the next day you hear it's Forex, and then you want to do whatever it is that is trending. Some people, no, find something. It doesn't mean you can't do other things, but find something and say, this is who I want to be identified as, and that's what I'm going to be doing all the time. Then surround yourself with people who can help you stay consistent. You know, there are people who can spank you and say, come, is a boat falling off in your head? And when they talk to you like that, you know you have to adjust.
You know that you have to.
So you need to, let's say, find accountability partners.
Yes, I was going to say
so that they can keep you in check, they can keep you on track. And sometimes most of us need someone like that in our lives.
Very, very true. I'll say all the time, actually, because I mean, it's one thing to have an idea. The other thing to start the idea is a totally different ballgame to follow it through. And as you have said, it will be difficult, but then again, we definitely just have to find a way to manage it and make sure that everything works well. Well done. Thank you so much, Mr. Fola. I mean, it's always an amazing time having conversations with you.
Thank you.